Coach, we know that seniors are going to get their recognition. What has your experience been when you have to see some seniors off, and then how do you kind of make the most of that moment with the unique challenges you guys are facing right now?
I think that's always a special time, and someone, all the work that they put in, and the time that you've been able to spend with them. Sometimes over 4 years. In this case, over the last 2 seasons for a lot of them. But yeah, it's a special time and a cool opportunity for them to go play their last game, Spartan Stadium, cool atmosphere. Hopefully go out with a win.
I'm wondering about when you got a chance to go back and watch the Minnesota game in particular, what changed between the first and second half with the line play in particular, and I guess what development did you see from some of those younger guys that you got through into the mix there?
Just they executed at a higher level and settled down, I think, a little bit. We didn't really change anything as far as, hey, stay away from this play call, or that wasn't it. The message at halftime was, man, we're not executing our responsibilities, and too many guys were making mistakes, and I don't know if it was nerves or whatnot, but we went in, kind of took a deep breath, regrouped, and then came out and really stuck with the game plan. Just did a better job of executing in the second half, and it did feel like Coach Allen was able to get those guys, some of those guys that hadn't played as much up front, to settle down and execute better as the game went on and move the ball rather aggressively.
For an OC, when you do have, especially mid-season, when you've got a change of quarterback and you got 2-3 new guys, probably two new guys more or less, thrust into the offensive line. I mean, how does that change your, I guess, I don't want to say role or responsibility, but just your thought process when you go through some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, the QB, it does make a difference in Alessio and Aiden, or a little bit different type of players, so that tweaks the play calling a little bit. The guys up front, it's like, hey, we don't plug those guys in. We feel, if we put them out there, hey, we feel good with them, and we want to go run our stuff and let them go execute it. But the QB thing does factor in a little bit, as far as which ones are getting called or what's in the game plan.
You have a backup slot receiver and a third string running back have the performances that Elijah and Rodden had 5 weeks. 2 weeks ago. Is that like a dream scenario for a coach? That it's like looking what these guys do in practice, they're in this opportunity. You can sort of use that as an example.
Yeah, I think it's good. Those guys have put in a lot of work through the year, and it's cool to see them take advantage of an opportunity like that, especially those two. I mean, those guys are, put their head down, go to work every week, and are great kids, very supportive of the guys. And then, you always preach that, ready for your opportunity when it comes. And I thought both those guys took advantage of it, a couple weeks ago. It's good to see.
What did you think of Alessio being his first start? Those guys he's gotten some action, but to get the ball at the beginning of the game and how he handled the situation.
Yeah. No, the thing that was like toughness, I think your first start on the road, first to go and take care of the football, I think was big. But man, he took some shots in that first half and got beat up. And I think as a QB, it's really easy for your eyes to go down and start looking at the rush and start bailing out, or your throws just be a little bit off target. Kind of affects the timing. And I thought, man, he just stuck with his reads, kept his eyes downfield, and stuck with it, trust in the protection, and then ended up, really throughout the course of the game, I think he completed over 70% of his balls and was able to move the sticks and get us some points in the second half, and a lot to build off for sure, and was really pleased with the way that he just handled taking some of those shots early in the game and was able to battle back.
Coach, Minnesota was an indication of the effort you guys are putting in. For you as a leader, is there any particular mantra or one single thing that you're kind of staying with that's keeping you on track, moving you forward?
I just think our consistency with our approach and as a coaching staff, continuing to coach those guys with a high amount of energy, doing our part to put together, those guys know, hey, we're going to do all we can to put together a great plan to put them in this position to go have success and win a football game. And I think the guys see that from our end, and we, coaching is really respected the way those guys have continued to come to work and put ourselves in a position to win the game, just weren't able to finish it. That was the frustrating part.
Right. Thank you.
Was it a difficult decision to sort of bench Aiden and put Alessio in as the starter? I mean, he came with you guys from Oregon State. You have a long history with him. How hard was that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it was extremely tough. There's a lot of history with Aiden. He's a great kid. I've spent countless hours with that guy over the last 3 years and recruited him and got to know him. And it was extremely difficult for us as a staff. But ultimately, it was like, hey, we kind of ended up saying we feel like we need to spark offensively to, wanted to take a look at it. And Alessio had done well with his opportunities and had a great week of practice, and we wanted to give him that shot that week.
In a theoretical world, what would you have to do to bring that starting role back in practice or not, or is it more so what Alessio does?
No, I think it continues. I mean, it has a little bit to do with obviously Alessio, playing that way, but we're going to continue to give Aiden opportunities in practice and make that competitive thing, because we do feel like we can move the football and have success with both those guys. And per week, Aiden does bring some stuff skill set wise, a little bit different than Alessio. So not ruling out the possibility of seeing both in the game as well.
Well, we look at Penn State's pass rush in particular, and that's something that obviously plays into some of that factor, I would think, too. Right?
Totally, yeah. I mean, their edge guys are, elite and long, athletic, get off the ball, and they get after the QB, and so those are guys we got to be aware of, and that'll be it'll be a challenge for our guys up front, and we're factoring a little bit of the QB decision.
How much does, that track record familiarity with Aiden give you some comfort that you can basically bench him and he's not going to turn off and kind of detach, like that you can make that decision that he's going to stick with?
No, that's just the type of kid Aiden is, and one of the reasons we recruited him and chose to bring him here too. And I was really pleased with the way that he handled the situation. Not an easy thing. But the way that him and Alessio were pretty tight, he was extremely supportive, stayed dialed in the game, and was helping Alessio when he came off the sideline as far as talking through the last series and helping in any way he could. And then went back to work this last week in the bye week, and I thought he had a great week of practice. And so I really appreciate the way his attitude and the way he's handled it.
It's a 6-game losing streak, and you're still getting the guy. We've kind of seen that. I mean, with the exception of the UCLA game, it looks like everyone's still bought in. How challenging is that for a coaching staff right now to kind of keep that, especially when you still have a chance for bowl game and all the things that are still out there?
Yeah, it's not gonna lie, it's a challenge now, because you guys you're putting in a ton of work each week, and just to not get paid with that win, for 6 weeks, it's tough. But I do think it speaks to the character of the guys that we brought in here, and guys that continue to compete, and I really appreciate the way that the captains have handled it. I think it's really started. Those guys, they've had some players-only meetings, and the way that they've responded to a couple of those losses and continue to come back and compete in practice. And last game really had every opportunity to go get a win on the road, and didn't. But it's been tough, frustrating-wise, but I appreciate the way the guys continue to work.
Ryan, obviously Elijah's sort of comfort level in your guys' system grow over the year. I remember coming in, even in August, it was like he's still trying to get his sort of feet under him a little bit. When we see him more now, is that part of why there's been some injuries and whatnot too, but is his comfort level growing within the system more while we see a little more?
No, I think, his comfort level there, and I think it was just he took advantage of an opportunity, and it was nice. We ability to break some of those explosive runs and make some guys miss at the third level was really good to see, and did a lot of good things out there and was pretty consistent with his performance. So they're definitely going to see more of him.
Jonathan mentioned over the bye week that there was either a scrimmage or just more reps for young guys in practice, I guess. I don't know if those ones or whatever it might have been. But did you see any younger guy catch your eye over the bye week when you might have gotten a little more look at him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It's always fun the bye week, man. Those guys get to they've been doing a lot of scout team work.
It's like a scout team scrimmage, I guess, or you just
just a lot of the guys that maybe aren't playing as much during the season. Some of the guys that have maybe opted to redshirt, and then some of the guys that are just primarily working with the scouts. But we give them the opportunity to kind of go run our stuff and go compete against each other. It's a fun thing for those guys to put on the pads and roll. And it's fun for us as coaches to get around them, because sometimes they're always with our offensive guys with the defense so much now that you don't really get to see them.
So to your OC, you see ball moved back after a penalty from the 2-yard line, and what's that process like? I'm sure you're probably up there like, what is happening down there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never seen that before, and it was unique because you're obviously pretty excited. You're at the 2-yard line, first and goal, and so I was ready to fire off the next call and ready to go, and and they ended up going in a different direction. I'm not controlling.
Thanks, coach.
Well, that's a kind way to put it. All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah,
Thank you.